Begin the current Daf, Mesechta Bava Metzia Daf Ayin Dal. Begin on the top line of the Amid. We're actually just finishing up a conversation before we go right back into Halacha Bava Mishnah, which is discussing shlichus. We have been discussing regarding someone sending someone on a mission, regarding buying. So we're just finishing up that little piece before we head back to the Mishnah. She's correspondent of Kazakh and Cheskel, turned to Daf Chaim. Mishnah in today's Daf, is close to Chaim and Yisrael Netzra, the entire world. So discussing today's Daf are, as we'll explain, the concept we've mentioned many times, that we run into problems about when you sell someone something and you prepay because you're giving the guy the money now. However, you don't leave you the product later on. And if this goes up in price, comes out that the money that you quote unquote loaned him because he got to use it for like a few weeks before he gave it to you, he's giving you back more value. That's a ribis problem. One of the ways of ameliorating that, of taking care of that, is remedying that is yeshloi, which is that as long as he has it, it's like considered as if you already got it. Even though it goes up in value, it's like going up in your possession. Now, in the Mishnah, they say that this concept of yeshloi doesn't even have to mean you have it in the total finished product. As Machlik is Rav and Shmuel, but the Mishnah tells us that even though it's still lacking some production, but you have the basic product, that already is considered in the category of yeshloi, and that wouldn't be a problem about our rabbinic ribbis, which Rav says that even if you're missing two elements, two stages of work, you could still be paisik, but if it's already three, that's already not considered as if you have the product. Shmuel says no. If it's something that can be done through human intervention, even 100 stages could be missing because you could do it and it's still considered yeshloi. But as B'nai Shemayim, if it's something that requires some natural process that you can't control, then even one you cannot be placed because you don't know if that's going to happen and you can't control that, and therefore you wouldn't be able to prepay. Also, Zevel is one of the cases the Mishnah discusses, a machlekes regarding three different opinions about if you could be placing on Zevel. The halacha placing him b'shar gavai is machlekes in the Mishnah. Do you have to go ahead and make up with the seller to say, hey, look, if the price goes down, by the time you give it to me, I only want to take the cheaper price, or is that automatic? That relates to the halacha mois kindness. Do we say that money acquires, or mois is not kindness? Is only mishapara if you back out. The next mission discusses malva od mesarisa. A person could lend his sharecropper chitin mechitin lezera, that he's giving him wheat to give him back wheat only if it's planting for planting, but avaloi lechel, because that's the problem at sabasa. But because if for eating, the Mishnah looks at it as differently, because then we're concerned that it might go up in value, and again that's a ribbis problem. And but if it's for planting, that's something that's permitted. So begin the current daf. First, we're just finishing up on the top of the Amid Daf Ayin Dalman Aleph. Really, just could have been read with the previous Gemara. Amar Rava says Hani Beit Lasa. Regarding these three, the Avi Zuzah Lechad, they gave money to one guy. Did they go buy them something? So this guy says, hey, I'm going to the marketplace, I'm going to where the show is, and three guys say, hey, look, buy us something. Now, he only bought for one of them. Because all the money's mixed together, although he's buying for one of them, it's buying for all of them. But, says Rav, we didn't say this only if it wasn't tied and sealed, the money of inish luchadei of every single person individually. But if the money of each person was separately sealed and bound together, then Laman Zavan Zavan, for whoever he bought, Laman Zavan, the one he didn't buy it for. It's considered individual, it's fine. Now, relating to this idea about sealing, having a seal, identifying it as one individual, and regarding Kinyan, Samar Papi Mishmein Rabbi says, Hai Situmta. Situmta is this seal that the retailers would mark on the barrels of wine that they would take together in one shot, but they would leave it in the warehouse of the owner, and they would take it one at a time to their store to sell. But they would mark each barrel to know that all those barrels were already sold. So says Rava, Papi, the name of Rava, that Kanya. So just that marking itself acquires it for that retailer. So for what halacha do you mean that it acquires? Says Machlekes. Rav Chaviva says means literally that's an acquisition. You just acquired it. Rabbanan, they say no, that's not a kinyan. is the kabuli le mishapara. It's like when you acquire with money. Money also doesn't acquire. It just makes it that if anyone backs out now, so they're going to get the mishapara, the punishment, the curse of whoever punishes from the Dharma is going to punish from someone that backs out from paying. And the Hilchos halacha is the kabuli le mishapara. You're right, it's not a real kinyan. The marking is that you're going to get a mishapara. But in a place where that is the custom, that they market it with the intention that through that marking that they acquired it, as if they did Mashiach, then you go with the Minig HaMakom, and if that's a kinyan they make in those places, well, that will be a kinyan. Now we go back to Halacha Bar Mishnah. In our Mishnah, we had mentioned, and this was a theme we've been discussing, of what's called in Paiskin ala Peiros. You're not allowed to prepay, that's what Paiskin means, of like prepay for produce related delivery, because the seller agrees to deliver the same amount of wheat, even if the price is going to increase at the time of delivery. The buyer is going to receive this gain for his prepayment, which is ribbis. Now, there's two exceptions to this halacha of this isser of pricing. Number one is yotza hashar, mutter. And this we discussed this from the beginning of the parak. If at the time of the payment, the market price was already firmly established, so you're allowed to prepay at the current market price because ava pishein lezeh yesh lezeh. So the merchant has the ability to use the leker's money and buy wheat on the open market and provide it to the buyer, so it's like as if it's already there. Which that relates to the second idea, what's called yesh le mutter. If at the time of the payment the seller has the produce in his own possession, even though let's say it wasn't yotza hashar, you're allowed to prepay at any price, because Rashi explains, we consider it that the lekeich immediately owns the produce before the price increases, and therefore even if it goes up in value, it's not like a ribbis payment, because it's going up in the possession of the lekeich. Those were the two exceptions that allow paisik. So therefore the Mishnah told us, if let's say, which is what our Gemara quotes just a little bit of those words, if let's say that you're allowed to make a psika on the grain, if the seller already cut his grain, even though others did not cut the grain, there's no shar, so the Mishnah, you're allowed to go ahead and, because this is considered yesh loy, he has, even though it's not yotza shar, which we said that was one of the two exceptions, and therefore, you're allowed to do a pisuk. Now, the cases that the Mishnah describes on the Gadish or Vala Avit Shal Navin, and the Gemara is going to quote these cases, Val Matan Shal Zeisim, Val Beitzim Shal Yetzer, Val Asid Meshakim Kivshin. These are things that you didn't even finish the production process yet, but you have the core, the base item. Therefore, that's considered yeshlai, and therefore you could sell it even for a future time. The prepaying is not a violation of ribbis because it's already considered as if it's the lekeach. Now, so this is, like we said, is considered yeshlai. So it says the Gemara, we have a machlekes Rav and Shmuel regarding the qualification of what could be missing, as our Mishnah describes, to still be valid as a yeshlai. Amar Rav. For the rabbinic ribbis, that's what he's saying. It's not really a kinyan. I mean, he paid for it already. What? Right. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying Yotza Shar is also not like he has anything here, right? But it's enough considered like as if for the rabbinic ribbis to be considered as if it's in his possession. That it's not a violation of ribbis. Now, Amar Rav. Rav says Mechusar Shtayim. If the production is missing two malachas, two constructive acts, so then you could prepay with the guy, even though it's not Yotza Hashar, because it will qualify for Yeshlai, that he has it. But if let's say it's missing Shalosh, three malachas, then it's like he doesn't have it. So then name the paisik, then you can't prepay, because again, it's not like it's yours yet, because the guy doesn't have it himself yet. Shmuel Amar, he disagrees. He says, no, if the malach is that the thing is missing, are bidei adam, are human actions, nothing like paisik. Even if missing 100 steps, 100 malachas, you could prepay. Because it could be done. So it's like, it's there. Bidei shemayim, but if it's something that requires natural process, then even if it's missing one, you cannot prepay. Because who says it's going to happen? And that it's like in his ability to complete it. So it's like you don't have it. Because you don't have control over things that are b'dei shemayim. That's machlekes Rav and Shmuel. Now the Gemara asks a few questions on Rav from the halacha of our Mishnah. It's not, we said in the Mishnah, paisik imay ala godish, that you could go ahead and prepay for what the guy has in his granary. Problem is, it's lacking, first of all, mishta b'cham al mevish. You have to put the grain in the sun. You have to spread out the bundles the bundles of all the stalks in the sun to dry up. Then ulamedish. Then you have to do dash, to thresh. Umidra, which is like a zayin, is like zoira. Then you have to throw the chaff after you thresh in with a pitchfork into the wind. And that is 3 steps. And Rav said the 3 steps are considered something that you can't be paisik on. So how could our Mishnah say paiskin imai ala kaddish? Says the Gemara, no, it was already put in the sun and it was already dried out. And still, that's called kaddish. It's still considered the pile of the grain. And therefore, there's only 2 steps. But says the Gemara, but according to Shmuel, that he says, when it's a natural process of la'achas in a paisik, you can't even prepay, even if it's missing 1 malacha. Now, but machusa midra, it's missing zayra, it's missing winnowing. The b'dei shemayim, that you need to have an uncommon wind that could come along and blow away the chaff. You don't know if it's going to blow, if the wind's going to blow. It might be a calm day, and therefore, how, according to Shmuel, could you be paisik al kaddish? Says the Gemara, no, efshe ben advasa. You could do it with a sieve. It's not as conventional, and it's something that's more tedious. But you could take the chaff and the wheat and mix it around in this sifter, this sieve, and it's going to go through that way. So you don't have to do it by winnowing and throwing it up and having the wind blow it away. Therefore, it is qualified as b'dei adam, and therefore it can be paisik about it. Now, the next case the Mishnah described, another question on Rav, we said vala avet shel anav, that and all these that we're quoting from the Mishnah are to ask on Rav and Shmuel. So he said regarding wine, if the seller had prepared grapes in a vat ready to be pressed, so you could also prepay for that. Says the Gemara, wait a second, there's steps missing over here. First of all, of it really means the pile of the grapes when you just harvested it, before it is in the vat. And everything more asks, first of all, it's missing heating up when you first press them together. And then then after you have them that they were heating up, you have to then bring it to the grape press, to the wine press. And then you have to be lamedish, you have to step on it in the vat. And then ulaminga, then you have to draw the wine to the pit that's in front of the vat, and then it's ready to be sold. So this is missing a lot of steps over here. Says Gemara, no, because Reb Chia, like Reb Chia taught in the Brayta says, we're going to say later on, al hakoymer shal zeisim. We're going to one of the next case of the Mishnah. He actually says it's not matan shal zeisim. The Mishnah had said in the Daf Beis, it's matan. He learns in the word the Mishnah should say no, a lashon of koymer, which is that it was already heated up already. It's a later stage. They were talking about that it's in the vat of the grapes. So says the Gemara, okay, but from a chusri tlas. So fine, so you're not missing the first step of koymer, of this, when you heat it up, because by having them tightly together. But you still have to bring it to the wine press, you still have to step on it, and you still have to draw the wine. So that's missing 3, and Rav says missing 3 you can't prepay. Says the Gemara, but ask to in a place that who does up and who did not get. No, it is considered ready to be sold because there's only 2 steps, because the last step is in that location, it's the buyer who he draws it into the pit in front of the vat, and therefore that's not considered a stage missing from the seller, and therefore it's only missing 2.
Are they counting transportation as a stage?
Which transportation?
The last 3 that you just said.
Meaning, iula lebei matzarti, yeah, bringing to the, that seems to be a stage, So that's another thing that's someone that you have to do. So it's not like you like it's ready. So that's why it was 3. Now the Mishnah, the Gemara continues asking on Rav from the next case in Mishnah. But he said, "Matan shel zeisim." So really, matan is this pile of the olives. So the Gemara says, "Wait a second. You're lacking when you first put into a place that it gets heated up. Then it makes it ripe to be pressed, and then then you have to bring it to the Beis Abad of the Shemin, is where they press it. Then you have to be lemedish, you have to step on it. And then then you have to draw it out of that into the pit where it's stored. So the Torah price, as we just referenced it a moment ago, no, it's not ala matan shel zaysim, it's al koimer shel zaysim. It's on this heated pile of the olives. That's when you could sell, you could be placing it. But it says the Gemara ho'ikat las. There's still three things missing. You still have to bring it lebeit api to the olive press. You have to step on it, and then you have to draw it. So the Gemara ba'asa the hudazav and the again, like we said before, it's talking about in a place where the guy who buys it, he's the guy who draws it out of the vat into that pit, and therefore it's only considered missing two. Next case of the Mishnah was valabeitzim shel yetzer. On these discs of pottery, you could sell it and prepay it. So but pufi, Rashi says is a moldir balas. Sounds like the word of molding, which is it means to roll, to shape, which is like we have malapapin havlad and Shabbos, meaning that you roll it according to its measurements, whether big or small, and you make some type of receptacle. So you have to still do that. You have to do the ibushi. You have to dry it. And you have to have a yulu latuna. You have to bring it to the oven, and then you have to have lamisr to burn it, which means to put it into the pottery, meaning to make it into pottery in the furnace, and and then to take it out. It's 5. So Gemara, we're talking about where it was already shaped and it's already dried, and it's still considered beitzim shel yetzer, like Rashi says, because that word actually is from the word of marsh, like a marsh, like a swamp, which is that the earth is shaped with the water. So it can still be considered beitzim shel yetzer, even though it was malapafa and beyavisha. Okay, but there was 5. You just took away 2, but it lost. There's still 3. Says the Gemara, but Asa does up. We're talking about a place where the guy who buys it, who the mappa, he takes it out. So the taking out is not considered a step that's missing, and there it's only considered 2 steps. And therefore, again, like Rav says, you can be placing Yomai, it's only missing 2 steps. The last case we said was with ala sid, and on lime you could sell mishay shekena bekivshin from when it was put into the furnace. Says Gemara, but if it was only put into the furnace, but yet, that means you didn't have the burning yet, which is that you put in wood and stones and you burn it turns into lime. So you have to first burn it, vapuk, you have to take it out, and then a meidik. After you burn the stones, so they're like these burned pieces, and you take it out of the furnace, you put in a little water, and you pile it, and they crush on their own, like crushed flour. So you still have to do that step of a meidik, of to crush it. So there's burning, taking out and making like thin. Says Gemara, it's a term on a place where the guy who buys it, he does that last process of making it thin and putting the water on, and therefore again it's only considered missing 2. But then says the Gemara, wait, l'shmul dam b'di adam. According to Shmuel, that says when it's something that's a human process, a filet a place, even 100 steps, you could be missing and you could still prepay. So why does he say that you could only sell it when you already put it into the furnace, when you submerged it there, but you don't, why? It could be out of the furnace. You can miss 100 steps because it's something that you could do with human intervention.
Why does the Lord just ask that now?
Right. With the previous cases, well, maybe there was nothing that was.
The other cases could have had 4 or 5.
No, in the other cases don't say that. Only here it's saying once it's in the furnace. The other ones, what would you ask? Let's say those are the first steps. Those are right away. There's nothing before that. The Gemara is asking. This sounds like you need something to have been done. All the other cases were a pile of grapes. Well, that's right after your heart. I mean, there's nothing. There is nothing before. That's what it sounds like. I mean, it's like right away, right when you like. That's here. This case sounds like that. Okay, once you're there, okay, now we're good. But what do you mean? Why Mishnah should get the gift? The other ones don't say once you put into the. It says on the pile of grapes and this and that. It's like, what's the that would sound like that. This is different because it sounds like that.
Why the others want to be the other?
No, like Taisus asks. He says like the shmudim the other different masechot Tanya Rebchia. So the shmudim the other will make place lomali al kaimer. The shmudim the kaimer hazes and mikra ayim. So he says that. So Taisus answers on one of the cases that like you asked that says. The Shmuel agrees because those processes were b'nei shemayim, so that couldn't have been before that. Let's say on the case of of Kaimer Shal Zezim. In other cases, maybe it's just like there was nothing before that or whatever. But this one is the most explicit, that it says that you have to put it into the furnace and then you're ready. So, but according to Shmuel, why? So the Gemara says, no, you're right. It's when you're prepared and you have the stones and the wood and everything's there, and the only thing you're missing is the burning and the chanami. It doesn't have to actually be in the furnace. It's even before, you can miss 3 processes. It says when it's ready. Sounds like that even according to Shmuel, at least has to be somewhat. You can't say that I can buy and this and that. Even though it's missing malachas, but as long as you have the main items, that would be okay according to Shmuel. Now, we had mentioned, the Gemara goes back to it, that one of the cases of the Mishnah on pottery, if the seller had prepared clay ready to be formed, so he said that okay, that's considered yeshlo. You could sell it on the prepayment. So the Gemara brings a brayso that elaborates, turn a bundle. You cannot prepay on these discs of the pottery, actually also until they're made into these beitzim, into these egg-shaped clay forms. That's the Remeh. He says, wait, it qualifies. He says, when do we say that it has to be prepared, that you at least have the material to be able to prepay, is ba'afal is by the white earth, which wasn't so common. And when they would import it, so they wouldn't import it only when it was already kneaded and made into these discs. So if you want to be able to prepay it, you have to have that item. But by the black earth, which was common in his place, could go in Kfar Chananya, like for example, the village of Chananya and its environs, or Kfar Shichin, the village of Shichin and those of its type. Paiskin, yes, you could prepay. It doesn't have to be that he has the material, because as you recall, we said there's 2 ways of doing the prepayment that's permitted. One is either that you have it, or one is like a yatsa shah, because like even though you don't have it, someone else will have it. So the black earth, even though the guy didn't have it, someone else will have it. But the Gemara tells that Meimer Yoav Zuzia, Meimer would give money, when the seller had brought in the earth and piled it up in his house, which as Rashi explains was the black earth. Once he piled it up, then he would pay him. So the Gemara says, wait a second, come on, who's that like? It's not like either one of the 2 Tanam we just mentioned. Ikre Meir Hamachi also says, no, it's not enough just to have the earth. You have to make it, have to be these egg-shaped clay items. And Ikre Yesi, says you don't even have to have the earth in the first place. Even though you don't have it, that he has it. So what's this that he would only pay for it once it was piled up by the seller? Says truth is, it wasn't Rabbi Yesi. If it wasn't Rabbi Yesi, so then why did he only pay for it once it was piled up? It's even though the guy doesn't even have it, we said. No, because Ba'asr da Meimer, where Meimer lived, Ashik Afra, the black earth was expensive, it was not common. Idma'ili Afra, if the seller already piled up the earth in his house, so then he's confident that, meaning of each one, the seller to sell and the buyer to buy, and whoever backs out will therefore have a mishapara, because mishapara is like, there was a certain vote of confidence over here that you're going to buy it because you already paid, and here, the guy already has the earth ready. So then he would give him the money. But if the guy would not have the earth yet piled up, then he wasn't confident, because maybe the seller won't find the earth, and therefore there's no mishapara, because he himself is not confident, and he is only giving on doubt, and therefore Amema wouldn't pay him, because the mois would not be kindness. The whole idea of mishapara is the mois is kindness. Here, the mois wouldn't be kindness, because before the guy has the earth, I don't even know the guy himself doesn't even know if he's going to be able to sell it. And therefore, if it would go up in price, would come out, it would be ribis by prepaying, because we don't consider it as if it's already yours, because you're not even confident, and therefore that's why you would only pay him, because in his location, since it was expensive, it was hard to come by, you would only pay him once the guy has it piled up, even though it's like a Yisi, the whole generally, but the black earth, the guy doesn't even have to have it before you prepay it. Now regarding the next item in the Mishnah, we said a tuwe machlekes. Tanakama said that you could prepay for fertilizer all year round, which some Yisrael say should say b'chulu, because there's the other opinion of Rabbi Yesi, who says no. Only if the guy has fertilizer in his garbage pile, only then could you go ahead. But then the Mishnah says, and the Chachamim, they say they're matir. So the Gemara says, wait a second. The Chacham are saying the same thing as the Tanakama. Tanakama and Chacham are saying that you could do it all year round. But he says no, only if he has fertilizer available. Some Rabbi says he continues on the page. He says Yomai shaman ikabenai. The difference between them is in the winter. So again, the Tanakama had said, even though you don't have, he said that his words were kol Yomai sham. That was the word of Tanakama. Now, Yesi disagreed, and he said, no, it doesn't make a difference summer, doesn't make a difference winter. You cannot sell it until you actually have fertilizer in your garbage pile. Fine, that was their machlokes. When the Mishnah Tirim was coming to tell us, yeah, because even though he doesn't have, others have, if it's in the summer months, because everybody got fertilizer then, because it was already stepped on and already was mushed up throughout the winter, and things become fertilizer. The compost was already has this smell. But in the winter, not everybody has, and therefore that's the chiluk between the Chacham and the Tanakama regarding the winter months. That would only be according to the Tanakama, not according to the Chachamim. And Rabbi Yossi holds neither one could you be paisik until you actually have it in your own pile. Now the Mishnah had said that another related machlekes was this idea about making a psika, so you're prepaying, and the Tanakama had said upaisikimai, the buyer when he's prepaying can make up that he's prepaying kishar hagavaya. That like he could, but if he wants to, he must stipulate that if the price decreases at the time of the delivery, that the sale should be as per the low price. If he did not so stipulate, so then he has to accept the produce for the high price at the time of the psika, and he's not allowed to retract from the sale. That was the opinion of Tanakama. Rabbi Yehuda said, no, even though the buyer did not stipulate and the price decreased, he can tell him, look, either tell me either you can tell the seller, give me at the lower price, I tell this said, or give me my money back, I want to track from the sale. So this halacha was going on the whole Mishnah, that you have to make up when you're prepaying, that if it goes down the price, then you want to have shar gavaya, meaning the higher value of the payers, meaning the value of money went down, but the value of then having payers goes up, that you're going to get more for your money. So he wants to get like the lower price, but if it doesn't make up, he has to then take like the price it was when he had prepaid. So regarding this, says the Gemara the following story. Hu Gavra, there was a certain person, the Avi Zuzi, he gave money l'nedunya de bechamua, for the dowry of his father-in-law. Meaning, what does this mean? What's the son-in-law giving for the father-in-law's dowry? This son-in-law prepaid with those, they have the chazan kala shops, So those who sell nedunyas, they would sell jewelry. They have all these jewelry stores in the front covers, and they say chazan kala packages. So he prepaid to one of these chazan kala jewelry for the necklace that he's buying for the kala. So he gave them money. He says, look, by the chasna, I want to give her something in the yichid room. I have my chasna is in 6 months. I want you to have, I'm paying you now, and I want you to give it to me then. And his father-in-law made him a shliach. Father-in-law is not such a shvitza. The Aida Migata shvitza says that, he says, I want you to go ahead and I want you to prepay, so you have it ready for the chasna. Now, l'sayf, at the end of the day, zal nadunya. This nadin, this jewelry, whatever it was, went down in price. So he wanted it back out. The father-in-law doesn't want to have it. You paid $20,000 for this thing. We're going for 12 now. So also come into Rav Papa. So they came in front of Rav Papa. Amalei said to the Edom, he says, look, Edom as in son-in-law. Look, if you made up with him when you paid him and you told him that, look, I want to have the highest value I can get. If at the time of the chasna this goes down, I want to get it for the cheaper price. Okay, shakal kashta. Then take the way it is right now. But v'loi, if you didn't make this up, okay, then shakal kimikara. Then you have to take for the higher price that it was worth earlier. Essentially, it was passing for him like the Tanakama. So Amalei Rabban Rav Papa. So fine, but then the Rabban said to Rav Papa, he says, wait, I have the following question. the Eloi pasuk. So you're telling me that if he didn't make up with him when he prepaid, that he should take like the cheaper price. Shakl kimikava. So you tell me he's going to take according to the higher price, like it was like when he got engaged. The problem is Moisnidu. All he gave to the seller, this Chassan Kalaga who sells the jewelry, was money. And money doesn't acquire. So why are you saying that he takes the way it was originally? Nothing was done over here. Nothing was acquired. Someone who says, no, you're right. I'm not Nami. When I said this, that he has to take like the original price, was Likabula La Mishapara coming. I was just saying that he has to take upon himself the responsibility about backing out of what's called a Mishapara, when you give money. As the Gemara explains. And this is important how he's explaining it, because the Gemara is going to ask him what he's saying right now. It depends. That's what I was telling you. You came to the Rav and you wanted a psak. I said, look, it depends. If he was pasuk, fine. He could get like the chibret. If it wasn't, then he can't. What I was saying was like this. Not that was the kinyan, but like this. If they had, when he prepaid, he made up that I want to get the cheaper price for when it goes down to by the time the chasna. Then Meicher Kohader comes out, who's backing out? Meaning the price is cheap right now. So the seller does not want to fulfill his condition. I don't want to give like the price of 12. You were willing to pay me 20 a few months ago. So, but it's down to 12 right now. So no, we're not doing this then. We're not doing this. So who's backing out? If they had made this condition, the seller's backing out. The seller's got to accept the bonds of the curse of Mishapar. Eloi pasek. If they had not made this up when the guy was prepaying, then the Lekeach is obligated for the earlier, more expensive price. Then he's backing out. So then the buyer has to accept upon himself the Mishapar because you're the one who's backing out. That's what I was saying. You're right, there's no kinyan over here, it's just Mois, but it's regarding the Mishapar.
Why is there no kinyan? It's Keilu.
Mois is not kindness. Money is not acquired. There's no Mashiach that was done.
But let's call it Shomer Chinam.
No, there's no shame over here.
Why? Why? He bought it and he was leaving it there because he doesn't want to take it.
He never did a kinyan. Never did a kinyan. Never acquired. Halacha requires kinyan. Although we look at it, we say you pay something.
Even though you put the money down.
Money's not a kinyan.
He didn't pick up the object at all.
No, he didn't pick it up. The guy was only delivering it 3 months later.
Okay.
So therefore, it's regarding a mishapar. Now, it's a technical question the Gemara is going to ask right now. A little bit of hopping cup. The Gemara has the following question. This is what Rav Papa was. He's the one who paskined the shaila, and he's the one who explained what his psak was. However, Amalei Ravina Rav Papa. Ravina asked Rav Papa like this. It's again a technical. How do you know that the halacha of our Mishnah, the Tanakama, that required that if you, in this case it was the chassan, wants to get the cheaper price, you're paying for the jewelry, and you're going to get the jewelry in 3 months from now, that you want to get the cheaper price in case it goes down. And the Tanakama says, yeah, you have to be priced. You have to say that when you prepay. If you don't, you can't. Who said that that's even the Rabbanani, the Pliga led Rabbi Shimon? Who said this is where you got to marshal your memory from a month ago? Who said this like the Rabbanan that disagree with Rabbi Shimon that's brought in Perak Hazav and Mnalim and Aleph? Well, who is these Rabbanan? Because they're the ones who say, which you referenced, Rav Papa, they're the ones who say Ma'is Lekana. They say that when you give money, no kinyan was done. Now that's very important because they're the ones who say that the buyer could back out from the primary halacha just like the seller because nothing was done. Ma'is was not going. Now, the only thing that the seller would have on the buyer is a mishapara. Hashem's going to punish you because you're allowed to back out, but Hashem doesn't like people that are not faithful. But he could back out, even if the price did not change, you're allowed to back out. That's according to Rabban. Who said that this Mishnah, the Tanakam, is going like Rabban, that's going to Rabbi Shimon, that they say Mo is not kaina? And Bafalach, and even so in our Mishnah we said that when the market price changed, and you could say that since he didn't give the money on the condition to receive it now, but to receive it on a later point in time, and in that period of time, the market changed, that you're telling me that, no, the buyer only had in mind for the cheaper price. And on that, in the Mishnah, we're telling us that we don't say that. Rather, Pasuk only be explicitly prepaid and made up Kishar HaGavaya, like he's going to get the cheaper price. Only then Shakal Kahashto, then he's going to have to take how it is cheaper right now. On that, we said Eloi Pasuk, you didn't make that up when you prepaid. Then we're saying, no, then Shakal Mikara, you have to take as it was originally, or you got to accept upon yourself a Mishapara. This was a lot of words, but it was just solidifying what Rav Papa is saying. And it was, Ravina showing Rav Papa, your explanation was insinuating, was assuming that the Rabbanan and Reb Shimon from a month ago that we spoke about are the ones who are the Tanakama of our Mishnah. Who said? What's your question? Ravina says, Dilma maybe the Mishnah that requires a specification at the time of the prepaying. Maybe that's Reb Shimon. What's Reb Shimon? Because the Amma, he says, Ma'is kindness. He actually says that money does acquire. So wait a second. So how could anyone back out once money is given? Oh, it was by the seller that Rabbanan were masakin that he could back out if Mashiach wasn't done and only accept the Mishapara. But the Lekeach cannot back out the moment he gives money if the market doesn't change. We said why the seller, because he's going to tell him your wheat burnt in my attic, whatever it is, but really money does acquire. So if nothing changes, the buyer cannot back out. Oh, so that's why when the price, however, does change, since money acquires, so the buyer in our Mishnah cannot back out, but when he made up beforehand, that in case the price changes, then shakal kiyashta. Oh, then you'll be able to take like the cheaper price of now. Eli Pasik, if he didn't make it up, no, then shakal can be clear. Take how it was originally. Why? Mishum dekani lozuzi, because your money already bought it. Done. But Avalu Rabbanan, and this is what really the primary question of Papa is. Why the way you were explaining, you were assuming in the Rabbanan, who said? According to Rabbanan, that they say that even the buyer could back out, even when the price didn't change, and the kinyan was only in regards to a mishapara. So then my question to Rabbi is that when the price changes, and he only gave the money for the purpose of receiving it in 3 months from now, I could tell you that there's not even a mishapara, even if he didn't specify. Bein pasuk, bein loy pasuk, shakal kihashta. Whether they made up or they didn't make up, he should take it like it is right now. Why? Because the daita, the inish, a person's intention when he prepays for a later point in time is a tachazila. Is that if it's going to change in the meantime, he'll get the cheaper price. So, like Taisa explains in the Masel Dilma, the question of the Gemara is that maybe the Rabban Reb Shimon from a month ago is like Yehuda the Mishnah. You don't have to specify. What zogst der Papa your shtickle teira that you're saying that and it's assuming that the Rabbanan of Reb Shimon are the Tanakam of the Mishnah, and therefore either one, the seller or the buyer, could get a Mishapara that's only explainable according to Rabbanan, because according and who said maybe it's like Reb Shimon, the Tanakam, and the Rabbanan hold is not even the Mishapara. So Amalei says no. I'll tell you why it's not feasible. It's not tenable what you're trying to say. Because Reb Shimon, when does Reb Shimon say that the buyer cannot back out? Is Bechat Tara. Is when it's one price. That the price never changed. Or someone made up that to get the thing right away, and they waited, and in the interim the price changed. That when they made up, it was not with the intention of any price changing. So either that because it's one price, or even if it changed, but they never thought about it. He thought he's getting the product right away. But today, Tadi, but two market prices, like the case of the Mishnah, where it ends up changing 3 months later. Mi Amar, do you think Reb Shimon said as halacha then? No, he agrees that the buyer could back out, and that there would only be on the buyer a mishapara. So therefore, what Ravina is asking is like this: what Rav Papa is responding is that even if you can explain the halacha of our Mishnah, the Tanakh like Reb Shimon, that to save from a curse of a mishapara, that you're saying that you require to make up like the shar gavaya, and if you don't specify and you back out, you get a mishapara. That would be the same thing according to Rabbanan, because no one disagrees by two different market prices, and the Gemara proves this point. Because the Ilay Tamach, if you don't say this, that Rav Shimon agrees when it's two tari, when the price changes, that the buyer could back out, and that he'll, even though we quoted him a month ago and said he holds the buyer cannot back out. No, we're saying that he would also hold that the buyer could back out, and therefore, again, then it would be the same thing as the Rabbanan, that the buyer could back out and just get a mishapara. If you're not going to say this, the mishapara b'lekech Reb Shimon Leslie, you think Reb Shimon doesn't have a mishapara on a buyer? Because from a month ago it sounded like he only has it on the seller, because only the seller can back out. But on the buyer, well, there can't be mishapara because you can't back out. If you're going to say, maybe Reb Shimon doesn't hold there's a mishapara b'lekech, you can't say that. Because we're talking about the Brisa, which was brought in Perek Zav and Chesed Alf, which was taught by Reb Shimon himself, that said the following words: Mikal Makam, however, Kach Halacha, that this halacha. But they said, okay, the halacha you could back up, but if you're going to back out, it's going to be a mishapar. Says the Gemara, my mikal makom. What's mikal makom in spite of this? What's mikal makom that this is the halacha? Lav, isn't it the loishna lekech, loishna meicha, that it doesn't make a difference if you're the buyer or you're the seller, that if you're going to back out, the kabbalah mishapar, you're going to get a mishapar. So it's evident, and the Gemara is being medayek this from the word of mikal makom, that this is a universal thing that you can back out. Not just the seller, but the buyer. So if that's the case, Ella, Kikama Reb Shimon, when Reb Shimon says halacha that the buyer cannot back out, was Bechatar by one market price. But today, Tani, he didn't say it by two different market prices, and therefore, Reb Papa makes sense that he's explaining like the Tanakama, because on this point, everyone holds like this. Even Reb Shimon, what do you want from Reb Shimon? Reb Shimon would hold the same meal like the Rabbanan this halacha. It's the same thing, and we would agree that there could be a mishapar in the lekech l'meicha. So if there were, and he would agree that you'd have to be pasak imay, that you would have to say, okay, if he made up, then all you're going to have is then you can be able to get the later one. If you didn't, then you can't. Everyone would hold the same thing when it's two different prices. You would have so therefore but now the Gemara has a different question about Papa. Only Ravashi says, but typically, well, why don't you say that there's no mishapara by the guy who bought this nedunya, because, and we're saying everyone agrees that there would just be a mishapara on backing out. The question was, we wanted to say, who said there should even be a mishapara? Says maybe it's like Reb Shimon. Said Reb Shimon and the Rabbanan would hold the same thing on this halacha. But now the Gemara says, well, why is there mishapara in the first place? Could the shliach shavi me'ikar? What happened was that this son-in-law was the agent of his father-in-law, who appointed him to prepay for this jewelry that they needed for the chasna. Now, his father-in-law is backing out. The father-in-law's like, wow, chasna's costing me an arm and a leg, and here you paid $20,000 for this, now it's worth $12,000. I'm not interested in that. Now, what could this son-in-law have done that the courts are cursing him? He's just a shliach of his father-in-law. Now, what do you say about the father-in-law? He should get the curse of the mishapara. No, we're saying even
Could have made a.
Yes, that's exactly what Rashi says. So no, that's what Rashi says. So Rashi says that we don't curse the father-in-law for that reason. That he could tell his son-in-law that you should have been placed in Kashar Gavaya, and what's a term many times in the Gemara, what's called the Sakuni Shadartich Lavasi. I sent you to make things better for me, not to mess things up for me. You see how this relationship is starting off, and something that's messed up. You should have done it, and for that you weren't my shliach. So therefore, the son-in-law is not getting the mishapar because it's not his fault. I mean, it's his fault, but he's not backing out. His father-in-law's backing out. But at the same time, the father-in-law doesn't get a mishapar because this is azah aydin bakrigich do. That's not for that. I just need you to help me, and I'll upon him. That's why there's going to that there's we're saying that we're saying that there is a mishapara. Well,
We don't miss a point.
No one tells you.
Anybody.
no, we would ask. Oh, right, that's the Gemara's question. Yeah. So Malay. So it says the Gemara. Betagrid is of in the Mazvin. So the Gemara actually explains it differently. That the truth is he wasn't the shliach. What happened is that this son-in-law, like we said, is a shvitzer. He's a wheeler and dealer. What happened is that he made up beforehand with his father-in-law, meaning he like sold it to his father-in-law. The father-in-law prepaid him. He says, you can get me a good deal, I'll get you a good deal. He gives him $20K, and he's going to deliver it to his father-in-law. Now the son-in-law now prepays with others, and he'll make money on his make some money on the side on his father-in-law. His father-in-law gives him some money, he gets a good deal from his guy that he knows. So the truth is that there's no shlichus over here. That this was like he had prepaid to sell it to his father-in-law to make money. That's why there's going to be it is considered as a mishapara for this for the son-in-law, because he's not a shliach. He wasn't a shliach of his father-in-law. He was his father-in-law prepaid to him, and he prepaid to him, and therefore there would be if he backs out a mishapara. Now look at the next Mishnah, which continues on this theme of the sub regarding this rabbinic ribbis, when you lend an item and you get back the same item. So tells us the Mishnah, Malva Adam Esadisa B'chitin, a person can lend his sharecropper wheat, B'chitin, to get back wheat, if it's lazera. If it's to get back seed, meaning for planting, this is like the same measurement, asa b'sa. The Gemara is going to explain why is it permitted. But you cannot get a bag for eating purposes, because that's the classic prohibition of sabasa, because it's going to be the same quantity, but it might increase in price, and then the lender is going to benefit through his loan. Now, the reason why we have to say this Mishnah tells us the Mishnah itself is because Shahir Mlil, because Mlil was stringent, and he would be Malva Sadisav, Chit Mechit Lazera, he would lend his sharecroppers wheat to get back wheat for planting. That if it was more expensive, now it goes down the price. Or it's cheaper and it's going to go up in price. He would only take like the lesser of the two, like the cheaper price of both. And that the Mishnah is coming to tell us, again, not because there's not halacha. May want to be stringent on himself, but a regular person does not require to do that. Now, says the Gemara, turn about Linda Braisa. Malva od mesarisav. A person can lend his sharecropper the same amount of wheat to get back if it's for planting purposes. Now, but the Braisa qualifies this and says only if shelo yara, only if the sharecropper didn't yet go down into the field to start doing any work on it. But once he went down into the field, started doing work, it's forbidden to make this loan, as the Gemara continues to explain. First, the Gemara asks, Maishna Tana Didan. What's the difference that the Tana of our Mishnah, the Loikom Avlik ben Yorad ben Lo Yorad, our Mishnah did not differentiate between if the sharecropper went down to do work or not. Maishna Tana Bro, what's the difference in Tana the Bryce, the Kom Avlik ben Yorad ben Lo Yorad, that does differentiate and says, oh, you could do this loan only if Shlo Yorad. But if he was Yorad, no, then you can't even do it Lazera. So I'm a Rabbi, says Rabbi the Asber in the Hali, he says, he explained this to me, that Va'asa the Tana Didan, in the place of the Tana of our Mishnah, Arisa Yov Bizra. The sharecropper is the one who has to provide the seeds. So therefore, Bein Yorad or Bein Lo Yorad, whether he started doing the work or not, Kama de Lo Yov Bizra, as long as the sharecropper did not provide the seed yet, Matzi Masikle, the homeowner could remove him, even if he went down and he started already plowing. Since it's in the possession of the owner to remove him because you have no seed, it's your responsibility. So when he does borrow from him and he plants, and then it goes up in price, and he gives back the same amount of wheat, that's not a loan. Why not? Because v'kit kanachas, that means to say that when they agree to do this, lebatzim ha'achik kanachas, it's like as if the sharecropper is only starting right now, on the condition that the homeowner will take the seed first from the portion that's coming to the sharecropper. The sharecropper will take the remaining part for his wages. And he's going to take less than other sharecroppers according to the amount of the seed that was given. And it was with that he's going down now to take less than other sharecroppers according to the amount of the seed, because you really weren't contracted yet unless you have the seed and you didn't have. So now is when we're really starting. But in the place of the Tana the Braisa, Mori'ara Yom Bizra. The owner of the field had to provide the seed. Now, however, as Rashi tells us, this guy, he had very high quality land, so he did different than the custom of the city. He made it the responsibility of the sharecropper. So therefore, if he makes up with this from the beginning, that is, Elo Yared, if the guy didn't go down to the field yet, so okay, the Matzeh Masle, he could still remove him, he didn't start the job yet. So that's when you could do this loan. But Kikanachas, and the reason for that is because when you're going to make this up, it's you're agreeing that it's not a loan because it's like you're agreeing on the price right now. But Yara, if the guy already went into the field and you never made this up with him, that the seed has to come from himself. It's only later that he's agreeing by receiving money or a gift. Then it's not like he's coming to the field right now to say that he's agreeing to get less. He already started the work. And it was really the homeowner's responsibility to provide the seed. So then, you can't remove him. So then essentially it's like a loan, and therefore us is going to be forbidden. Now the Gemara concludes regarding this teaching of Sab Esah. A person can tell his friends, lend me a core of wheat, and he sets for him a price. He says, according to the value of the market of right now, I'm going to give you. The Tana says that if it's huzlu, if it goes down the price, then he gives him wheat. A hooker, if it goes up in price, then you have to give the monetary value because there's a problem about sub is sub, about giving back the same amount. It says, but they already set a price. So like Rashi explains, even if it goes down, he could take the money that he made up because it's like he actually lent him money. So Mafresh, he says, you're right, what the price was like this. If he did not set a price, Hosler goes down, okay, you can take your weight back because you're getting back the same amount that you gave him, and if anything, it's less, there's no ribbons. Hoker, if it went up in price, then it's a problem. Listen to me, you have to give back money. You can't give back the item itself, because if you give back the item, it's worth more now. You're going to be violating the rabbinic issur of the rabbinic issur of ribbis, and therefore that would be a problem. Thank you for any time,